Alright guys, so today our Leisure Life project is going to be over Hong Kong. So in our group we have myself, Andrew, Cameron, Jordan, and Lorena. So first off, I will begin by giving a brief background of Hong Kong, as well as Hong Kong's location and its climate and terrain. Alright, so first off, let's start with Hong Kong's background. So, the actual official name for Hong Kong is the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic. Now, that's a really long name for a city, but if that's what they like, then good for them. Let's see. The nickname that's been given to the city of Hong Kong is the Pearl of the Orient. Hong Kong's population is about 7,234,800 people. In terms of Hong Kong's ethnic groups, the majority of people are going to be Chinese, so about 93.6%. And the other 6.4% of the people are either going to be Filipino, Indonesian, white, Indian, Thai, Japanese, Nepalese, and Pakistani. The common language that are spoken in Hong Kong include Chinese, which is also known as Cantonese, and English. Hong Kong's currency is the Hong Kong dollar, and 7.75 Hong Kong dollars amount to $1 US for us. Alright guys, so now I'm going to talk about Hong Kong's location. Hong Kong is located in Eastern Asia on the southeast coast of the PRC, which is also known as the People's Republic of China. Hong Kong is roughly about 1,063 square miles. Of those 1,063 square miles, 426 square miles are made up of land, and the other 640 square miles is made up of the sea. Hong Kong is broken up into three main territories, and they are Hong Kong Island, Kowloon Peninsula, and New Territories. Hong Kong is made up of about 263 islands, which in my opinion is a lot. The people who live in Hong Kong today, about 93.6%, are of Chinese descent, and about 32.1% were born either in China, Taiwan, or Macau. Alright guys, now we have Hong Kong's climate and terrain. Hong Kong's climate is very subtropical and very monsoonal. Hong Kong will have cool, dry winters and hot, wet summers. The average temperature in Hong Kong ranges between 60.8 degrees Fahrenheit and 82.4 degrees Fahrenheit. The average annual rainfall in Hong Kong is about 87.2 inches. Hong Kong can occasionally have tropical cyclones. Now, when it comes to Hong Kong's terrain, Hong Kong is very hilly and mountainous with very steep slopes. Landslides are very common in Hong Kong after rainstorms. Finally, about 40% of Hong Kong's landmass is made up of parks, and nature reserves.
So now we come to the history part of Hong Kong, and I know there's a lot of dates on the page, but it's to show how complicated the backstory of Hong Kong is and kind of how it is today. So around 214 BC, it became part of like the big empire of China at that point, and then throughout time, it changed hands from all the different dynasties, and that included the Qin, the Jin, the Tang, and the Ming. It mostly flourished under the Tang Dynasty as a regional trading center, and that was when it kind of was turned into a port of sorts because it was on the coast. It took in a lot of trade. So in 736 AD, the Emperor Tang established a military stronghold in Tianmun. That's West Hong Kong. And then it started to get passed around again more between its own people. Um, but then 1513 is when we saw the first European visit Hong Kong, and this was George Alvarez from Portugal. This was on the other side, so he had thought that he was the first one to discover this. But once the people who lived there noticed he was the Portuguese were there, they were very upset, and so this led to the Battle of Tunmen, which basically got rid of all the Portuguese from the area, and this led kind of to a policy of hygiene in the mid 16th century, which was closed door isolation policy, which they just wanted to be away from everybody and not experience Western influence or any kind of influence because they wanted to stick to their roots. And they were actually mad at Portugal still, so they would attack their ships and everything else. So they took it pretty seriously. So the 1961 or 1661 to 1669, there was a great clearance. Was the Great Clearance, which was an evacuation of all coastal areas. Which 17 or 16,000 immigrated inland, which was basically just forcing the people that were in Hong Kong in the island part to come back into main China. So that's basically another example of different people and different influences coming in and out of Hong Kong, and just to make it like more diverse as a state. 1939 to 1942, the authorities refused to support opium imports, causing the outbreak of the Opium War, which started the war between the British and the Qing Dynasty. This led to Hong Kong formally ceding to the United Kingdom, where they gave up because the British Empire was just too powerful. The 1950s, the Chinese immigrants crossed border to escape the Taiping Rebellion, and this again goes towards the different people coming into the country from mainland China. Again, getting more diverse people and just more different kinds of culture. Then there was a second Opium War from 1957 to 1960, and that was on the Kowloon Peninsula, which was an island pretty much. And then after about 20 or 38 years after that, Britain finally obtained a 99-year lease of the rest of Hong Kong and its islands. So it basically owned all of the islands, all of Hong Kong to itself, while China was still its own. But then 1941, the British surrendered control of Hong Kong to Japan finally because of the war, and this was pretty major because it dropped the population from 1.6 million to 600,000, and this was a terrible thing for the country. There was mass murder. Obviously, you can tell from the drop in population by almost a million that they just the Japanese enforced strict laws and just mistreated the people. In 1949, communism gains control of mainland China and causes migration again. Where people didn't like it, they came to Hong Kong. So Hong Kong was basically an escape from anybody from either religious persecution or just wanting to get away from war, famine. This was basically the escape for anybody. The 1950s, Hong Kong becomes first for Asian tiger economies. This just kind of sparked the immense growth that happened with Hong Kong at that time. They became just leaders of technology and business, and they were one of the four first Asian countries to really boom economically. And then 1997 was the official transfer of sovereignty of Hong Kong from UK to the Republic of China, where it was basically not under Western influence anymore, and it became its own state. Now, for government, it basically kind of models our own government in terms of being like a separation of powers evenly, pretty much, and with a chief executive, which is the president. But the important thing is that the political and judicial systems are independent from main China. So even though Hong Kong is considered to be part of China, they do a lot of different things, or they're held separately, except in terms of defense and foreign affairs, because that's when main China really cares. So basically, the pillars of government is basically the president, which is the chief executive over there that makes the certain decisions. There's a civil service which takes care of like the people and everything else in terms of civilians, and then the legislative council, which makes law and writes it up, and judicial, which executes and determines definitions. It's a capitalist economic system and guarantees rights and freedoms of its people. The economy of Hong Kong is really something to marvel at in terms of how short it really became like a functioning state to now, which is basically around 60 years they've had, and they just boomed economically. They're one of the world's leading international financial centers, and they contribute this to the capitalist service economy with low taxation and free trade. This term is kind of better known as laissez-faire capitalism, which is a French term from a long time ago in your history books. It's basically capitalism with almost no government influence. Hong Kong does this with little industrial policies and almost no import or export controls. They've been a leading center for management, financial, IT, business consultation, professional services, just become a real center for business. But on the downside, people are looking as thinking that it's going to become more like capitalism because government intervention is increasing. This is because of the policies that they've passed in minimum wage, anti-discrimination laws, the pension funds, export credit guarantees, and state mortgage backers. The people in Hong Kong mainly live in housing, and that is either public rental housing or private permanent housing, which makes up about 80% of all housing in Hong Kong. The rest are subsidized sale flats, temporary housing, and non-domestic housing. There's a lot of public transport in Hong Kong. Not a lot of people use cars. Mainly taxis, buses, and the trams are the main things of transportation. The most important is the Mass Transit Railway, or the MTR. This was something that I actually went on when I was in Hong Kong to get around, and a lot of people do use it. I remember specifically because of how crowded it was, and but it did get you there fast. It was very efficient, and there's 9 railway lines. It goes all over from Hong Kong Island, Kowloon, and the New Territories. There's also ferries, which get you across the harbor. Those are fun to take as well, but obviously take a little bit more time. As you can see here, that's a diagram of the MTR lines. They are kind of confusing, as in terms of they cross over each other, and some look like they're basically going the same way. But it's pretty efficient. Everyone's using it. or at least from what I saw when I was there personally. And then to the right is the harbor and an example of a ferry taking one over. And as you can see, all these tall skyscrapers on the other side just again show how industrialized and modern Hong Kong has become. Education in Hong Kong is taken very seriously. I feel like in the United States, sometimes it's taken for granted, especially in high school. Uh, you just want to get out and you hate it there, but in real life, you get an access to education basically for free, paid to you by your government. Um, but here, students are expected to work hard from the age of 3, and this is due to the strong competition for places in the best schools. So there's a lot of pressure put on them at a young age to do well so they can be set up for life in terms of getting into a good school, getting a good education, and getting a good job. They have different styles of curriculum. There's the UK style for those from the UK coming in, their English Schools Foundation, that's ESF, and there's about 15 primary and secondary schools. The cost for that is 45,000 Hong Kong dollars or $5,800 per year for primary school, and that's ages from 6 years old to 12. So you're paying that 6 years. So compare that to public education where you're not having to pay anything at all. So the Hong Kong International School is an American education system, and that's secondary school. They're called the junior and senior years, but it's from 12 to 18, so another 6-year period. Um, that costs 118,000 Hong Kong dollars or 15,225 per year. And on top of that, you have a entry fee, which is $15,000 or $1,935. So the environment in Hong Kong is not too great. This is because of how fast they become industrialized and the big buildings they've built. It's caused a couple of major pollution problems, and those fall under water and air. There are factories, farms, and restaurants who dump sewage and waste into the streams and sea. So, not very sanitary at all. The factories, construction, diesel vehicles, and power plants, these also contribute to the air pollution problem. This causes dangerous levels of particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide in the air. Visibility is less than 5 miles 30% of the year. So 30% of the year you can't see more than 5 miles, which is disappointing because the view in Hong Kong with the island is very beautiful. So some people aren't able to enjoy the view. There are cases of asthma and bronchial infections soaring. This is part due to this wall effect. To explain this, you see all these buildings to the right that are very tall. This causes like a wall effect where the air gets caught in here and not able to properly circulate air in Hong Kong. So because of all these buildings, that disgusting bad air, the particulate matter, and the nitrogen dioxide isn't able to be filtered out and replaced with new air just naturally. So it has all just sat there, and you get this smoggy, disgusting view on your left of what it looks like, again, 30% of the year. But to Hong Kong's credit, they have addressed this and they're taking steps to make it better. As of 2013, they've lowered roadside levels of nitrogen oxides, particulates, and sulfur dioxide by 29% for nitrogen oxides, 37% for particulates, and 59% for sulfur dioxide. So they have addressed it and taking steps to being a cleaner environment. The culture of Hong Kong is very diverse. It has a unique identity because it's a meeting of East and West. Because primarily it was inhabited by people from China, all those different dynasties that started it up and made it a port center. Making it a port center obviously brought in new people and continued to give it a diverse culture. But also the West, because Britain took it over And so it's a traditional Chinese culture combining Western influence. The people there have named themselves kind of Hong Kongers. They don't see themselves as part of China. They see themselves as their own people because they are diverse. They're different from other people in China, especially because of the Western influence. They have traditional Chinese values: family solidarity, courtesy, saving face, humility. But this is combined with Western influence in terms of business and entertainment. The etiquette expected in Hong Kong reflects the traditional Chinese values that the original people kind of would portray. Meeting and greetings, especially shake hands with everyone upon meeting and being very friendly. Higher ranking people, class kind of still does matter. If you know you're higher ranking, they are more important. They take priority over you and should be introduced first. Old before young and women before men. So pretty chivalrous. Names. They use titles until invited to use first names. So do not start calling people by their first name. Still kind of here. Once you get to know somebody, you start using their first name. Body language. It's uncomfortable for them using body contact. They kind of like having their own space. They do not like hugs, kisses, pats on the back. They think winking is rude. To beckon, like another group mentioned, you put your palm down and you scratch motions with your fingers, so you don't show your an open hand. That's considered rude, and you never point with a finger. Gifts, tradition that shows respect and friendship. You should never go to a Hong Kong household without a gift. Present and receive gift with both hands and do not open. That's considered rude. You would take that home and open it there. Give gifts in groups of three, which is the Chinese number for life. 8, which signals prosperity, or 9, which is eternity. Try to bring something from your hometown or state. They really like gifts from other places because Hong Kong kind of has everything. So they like to see things from different areas. Hence, saying it without saying it, there are people that's like read between the lines, kind of use your head to figure things out. Compliment and deny compliments instead of thank you. So when you're complimented, deny the compliment instead of saying thank you. They think it's more respectful to refuse a compliment instead of just saying thank you. Do not speak loudly. They like quiet tones. Do not speak loudly. Superstitious, especially. Do not mention failure, poverty, or death because it offends them. Hong Kong holds very diverse beliefs and practices, again, because of the masses of people coming in and out of Hong Kong, because of the Western influence, because of the takeover of the Japanese. There's been a lot of different religions that have come in. 50% belong to organized religion that includes Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoist, Protestant, Catholics, Mormonism, Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism, and Judaism. The other 50% are Chinese folk religions. That's praying to gods, ancestors, and heroes. You can see temples scattered throughout. An interesting fact is they don't even consider it religion in terms of statistically. Most Chinese do not consider worshiping their god, their ancestors or heroes, uh, religion. So it's just like kind of a show of respect. So 50% are actually kind of classified as atheists and not even believing in anything. Some festivals in Hong Kong, there are quite a few. First, there's the Lunar New Year, and that's in February. This is kind of a scene of out with the old, in with the new. So they clean their houses, they buy new clothes, they get a new haircut, kind of sprucing themselves up, getting their best self ready for the new year. There's huge fireworks, and there's a Lycee Lucky Money, and this is given to children and employees. Kung Hai Fat Chow, that's Happy New Year in Cantonese. Ching Meng, that is an April grave sweeping. So it's basically they go to their the graves of their ancestors or people um, that they know, and they just clean it up, leave offerings, either food or money, so they can have it. They believe anything they give to the graves that they receive in the afterlife. There's Twinning, that is dragon boat races on the fifth month and the fifth day of the fifth month. So they dress up boats, they make them very festive, and they race. Mid Autumn Festival. This celebrates the uprising against the Mongols, and this is in September. And they do this with lanterns and watching the moon rise. They do this kind of with children. They like that a lot to be able to light. They basically light lanterns and let them rise up into the air. And Changyang, this is on the ninth day of the ninth month, and this is kind of a new thing, but people climb to the highest point they can find. It's just like a thing that they do in their country.
Pop culture is very recognized in Hong Kong, especially in the music scene. They have a genre of music called Cantopop, which is the local music culture. It was created in Hong Kong, so it was very popular, but it has recently declined in popularity to give rise to other types of music. Cantopop can be described as, I guess, popular beats that would be similar to beats that you would hear in America, but sung in Cantonese. As far as celebrities go in Hong Kong, people that live in Hong Kong have a thirst for gossip. They're very nosy, they're very judgmental, and they like to be involved, and they like to hear about what's going on in the lives of the stars. Their judgment can be seen in a section of magazines that they have called HD Reality, which is the analysis of attractiveness between two celebrities. So they compare and contrast what they like about both.
正咯，喂，開心嘅啊！半斤八兩，就算有風都冇理響。半斤八兩，仲慘過滾水淥豬腸。半斤八兩，雞碎咁多都要香。出咗半斤力，想話攞返足八兩。家陣我揾食，邊有半斤八兩咁理想？ 頭皮點點指尖，無力無幸，現在沒法蔓延。寒戰、越戰及世界大戰，都不見，都不見，不見。 眼淚裏含有止痛藥，誰亦靠啜泣啜泣啜泣去痛眼口耳鼻，每次殺不死你殺不死你也醫好你，情願從山崖找到了色香味，吸收心痛接受別離，磨練出胸肌腹肌心機，要知本必須重口味。
仲越來越愛，就算一切沒記載，軟弱會再有氣概，跟處境比賽，定途沒法割開，和你捆綁。
Food is a very important part in the Hong Kong culture. They love their food family style. They like to all come together and have a great big meal. Some of the things that they have is dim sum. They use hot pot, fast food, and rare delicacies. Hong Kong is actually considered a gourmet paradise to people who enjoy food and enjoy trying new things, since Hong Kong is very diverse and they have a lot of different ethnicities that live there. Their dishes are also very diverse, and so you have a lot of variety. A lot of their dishes are influenced by Western and Eastern countries, yet Hong Kong also has its own style of food. Some of the things that they do there special is Yan Yang, which is a drink. It's a combination of coffee and tea. They have Hong Kong style French toast. They have egg tarts, which is a hot crust filled with rich custard. They have pineapple buns. It's a bun, it's a pastry, and the top looks like the texture of a pineapple, those crisscrosses, and the top is sugary. They have wife cakes, which is a flaky pastry with winter melon, almond paste, sesame, and 5-spice powder. They have jin dui, which is rice, flour, sesame balls, and they have a cream bun, which is simply a roll filled with cream. Sports are a very significant part of the Hong Kong culture because Hong Kong was owned by Britain twice, once in the 1800s and then again in the 1900s. A lot of their sports were influenced by Western athletics. So they had similar sports to things that you would see in Britain, such as football and cricket. Horse racing, though, is the most spectated, which is different than a lot of the sports that are the most participated in, which include football, rugby, cricket, basketball, swimming, badminton, table tennis, cycling, and running. Hong Kong is improving in rankings as the years go on. Athletes from 7 sports made it into the world's top 20, and then athletes from 6 sports made it into Asia's top 10. Okay, so we finally made it to the leisure part of Hong Kong culture. Hong Kongers devote a lot of time to leisure. They're very hardworking, and so they love to have their time away from work. And when they get home from work, they love to relax and do things for themselves and for fun. They like to play mahjong. It's a popular social activity, and people play for hours in parks. They also play Chinese chess or checkers, which is also played in public parks, surrounded by crowds. They love to observe competition, so oftentimes large groups come to watch these games. Hiking is one of the easiest leisure activities due to the terrain of Hong Kong. There are many trails and mountains, which make it easy for them to hike, and the paths range from easy paved roads to strenuous, steep and rocky, challenging mountain peaks. So whatever challenge level you would like, there's many for you to choose from. A day at the beach is also another favorite pastime since Hong Kong is close to the coast. They like to go hang out by the water. While at the beach, they enjoy boating. So they do all sorts of boating, including jet skiing, sailboating, and many of them often own private yachts, so they'll go out on their private yacht. And then if they want to stay in for the night, video games are very popular, and also they love the cinema.
The cinema in Hong Kong is pretty big. Because of Hong Kong's diverse people, because of the people that came into the country in times of tribulation in China, or famine, or religious persecution. Regardless, Hong Kong was considered politically and economically free from China. So when China became communist, a lot of filmmakers, actors, musicians, artists came over from China to escape to be able to be allowed to be creatively free with their ideas in Hong Kong. And this developed Hong Kong into a huge filmmaking hub for the Chinese-speaking world. It became the third largest motion picture industry after the Indian and Hollywood, and the second largest exporter in films. Out of Hong Kong came this style of movie called action cinema, and it has a huge cult following in the West. I see it a ton. I am part of this following that just loves action cinema and loves the artistic design of it. And it has become imitated in films you see today, and fight scenes and stuff like that. This began in the early. Well, there had been Chinese films before this that included action cinema, but it was a lot more traditional, not like very artistic, not very bloody. So in the early 1970s, it gave way to grittier and more graphic kung fu movies, more powerful, more explosive, more action. And they used trained martial artists. And after that, the popularity exploded. Some of these included Bruce Lee, and you'll see a video clip of his movie from Way of the Dragon. He was considered responsible for the rise in popularity. He was a great personality, great person, very well trained in the art of martial arts, and that made his movies all the much better. Another style of action cinema came about when Jackie Chan started doing movies. If you've ever seen any, you notice that he has some great action sequences. He does a lot of the stunts himself, but you can kind of notice there's a comedic twist to the way he's fighting in terms of the objects he uses to combat his enemies. This led to kung fu comedy, and he became very specialized in that, in doing his own scenes and being able to provide comic relief in an area that wouldn't necessarily call for it. So enjoy the clip of Bruce Lee and Way of the Dragon. As you can probably tell, this clip was from a bit ago. This was from 1973, but I just really wanted to highlight Bruce Lee and his involvement, as well as the before and after of what Hong Kong action cinema used to look like and what it looks like now. The next series of clips I'm showing you is from Ip Man and Ip Man 2. It's the story of the guy's actual name is Ip Man, and he was a grandmaster of Wing Chun, which was a type of martial arts. It was a more defensive kind. You let your opponent attack you and then take them down later after you've exposed their weaknesses. He was an actual master of Bruce Lee, so the guy in the previous clip, he taught him for a bit. This story is basically of the Japanese invasion in 1937 and their occupation, which before, when I told you about the history of it, was a pretty bad time, mainly because of the mistreatment of the people there. The population dipped by 1 million, so there was just a shortage of food, terrible treatment of people, so people starved, beaten to death, anything that possibly bad could have happened to the Hong Kong people, it did. But Ip Man was a source of hope in terms of people seeing him and his resiliency, and he related to the people because he was humble, and the people, and he was their champion. But the choreography in this movie, I cannot be more thrilled about. This is what made me really fall in love with this series of movies, just because the way they shot it and compared to films before that I've seen, it was just one of the quickest, fluid, just very realistic and not very fakey, kind of like the other clip was. So I hope you really enjoyed this clip.
Bien. Espérez.
Papa, on dit que tu dois commencer à attaquer parce que sinon le monsieur il finira par tout casser.
D'accord. Morveux. Restez poli. Chef, relevez-vous. Chef, ça va? Tout va bien? Chef! Maître Jin, tout va bien? Ça va.
Ip Man 2 is kind of where the first one left off. After Japan leaves Hong Kong, it's the Britain coming back in, establishing control once again, and Hong Kong not being too happy about it. It's basically Western influence versus Eastern tradition. In the storyline, they pronounce boxing as this great new sport coming around, that it's superior to old martial arts, that they're too weak to stand up to him. So basically, you'll see fights between Britain, exemplified by the boxer Twister, versus Ip Man and all the other masters that you'll see in this following clips.
Wing Chun, Ip Man. C'est bon?
Pourquoi? C'est pas fini?
Vous vous inclinez?
Et pourquoi? Je comprends pas ce que vous faites.
Cette fois, ça y est?
C'est quoi?
Ma main.
mal. Il est à bout de souffle.
Allez-y. Reculez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Maître.
Est-ce que ça va? Combattez.
Lâchez la corde, maître. Lâchez la corde. Maître, œil.
Combattez.
Maître Hitman, vous pouvez battre ce type si vous m'avez battu.
C'était plus facile contre toi.
Tais-toi.
Pour l'instant, les boxeurs sont en phase d'observation.
Allez. Viens là.
Rendez-vous, maître Hitman est toujours à terre. L'arbitre va devoir compter.
Maître.
Levez-vous, maître Hitman.
Visiblement, le coup l'a sonné. Va-t-il pouvoir se relever?
7, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hitman va bien. Il est debout.
Viens.
Combattez.
All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for you. Hope you guys enjoyed the clips. I know they were a bit lengthy, but hopefully the action kind of made it go by quicker, and I hope you enjoyed them. If anyone is interested in seeing any of those movies, Ip Man and Ip Man 2 are available on Netflix. Ip Man 3 is not, however, but you can still find it some places. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.